Welcome to our Youth Studies information session for our BA in Youth Studies. I'm Sarah Zeller-Berkman. I'm the Program Director for Youth Studies. I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Regina Bernard, to introduce herself.
Hello there. I am Professor Bernard, Associate Professor of Youth Studies, and I'll pass it to Shanira.
Good afternoon. I'm Shanira. I'm the Academic Program Coordinator for the Youth Studies Department and also a graduate of the Masters in Youth Studies class of 2018.
Okay, so welcome. Today at this session, we are going to give you hopefully everything you need to know about the BA in Youth Studies to see if it's the right fit for you, and we'll answer any of your questions. We'll also give you a little bit of an overview of CUNY School of Professional Studies, and then we'll talk through some of the scholarship opportunities. Okay, so just kind of broad strokes, CUNY SPS is one of the newer CUNYs, although 2 decades old, and it was home to CUNY's first fully online degrees. It is ranked number 10 in US News and World Report for the undergraduate programs, and then some of the specific degree programs have really high rankings in both the state and the nation. And CUNY SPS is the highest listed in New York State and New York City. And really, CUNY SPS is tailored towards people that are in the field, they're workers. We work closely with kind of the workforce sectors to create meaningful credentials that are really connected to what people are doing in their jobs, and really have an awareness of the flexibility, care, and support that people that are already workers need as they're trying to pursue credentials.
So some of our target students are frontline youth workers, advocates, activists, program managers, administrators, in youth service agencies, organizations, even foundations, also graduates of associate degrees in human services, education, social work, psychology, public administration, childhood studies, or related fields are our target population for the youth studies program. And through our research, we have seen an increase for folks who have their bachelor's degree, anywhere from 39 to 90K. It really depends on the position you're going for. Like that 90K is for positions in DYCD, Department of Community Youth Development. We've seen folks get promoted in their youth servicing organizations or agencies. So that having a bachelor's degree is really, really important. I'm going to pass it on to Regina for our degree structure.
Thank you. That was a delay in the audio. So we are an online synchronous and asynchronous program with the modules in each course, which means some of the courses, well, most of the courses meet for a period of time on designated dates, and other times they are asynchronous. This is a multidisciplinary humanities program with applied social sciences, 120 credits total. For Gen Ed, it's 36 credits. Youth Studies required courses are 30 credits. Youth Studies elective, 12 credits. And then there are 42 credits in free electives. There's also the opportunity for credit for prior learning, which, by the way, was in Newsweek yesterday. I saw an article about us being one of the only CUNY schools that does this intense credit for prior learning, where students can transfer credits from other undergraduate institutions and CLEP exams, which are really great. Transfer credits, bachelor's degree candidates are eligible to transfer up to 105 academic credits from previous educational institutions and from options listed below, like credit by portfolio evaluations, preparing portfolios that reflect the knowledge and expertise that you have learned outside the classroom, credit by examination, which CLEP is one of those, where CUNY SPS recognizes several college-level examination programs that offer nationally recognized subject area exams, and then credit for non-collegiate learning, hundreds of formal courses, professional certifications, and examinations that are taken outside of traditional degree programs have been evaluated for college credit. And then the credit predictor tool helps students identify prior learning from military, workplace, or volunteer experiences that may qualify for college credit. I'll pass it to Sarah.
Thank you. So for our program, we want to make sure that people have a sound foundation, a theoretical foundation that undergirds the field of youth development, but also really practical skills that they can turnkey like the next day, the next week. And then we want to make sure that people have a sense of where their work sits in a social historical context, while also making sure that they have kind of the latest, the best, the most current promising practices in our field. For our degree, the BA, same as the MA and Advanced Cert, there's a very explicit commitment to social justice. So really thinking about the work that we do in partnership with young people as some way that we can support them to challenge status quo, not just like fit into things, programs, institutions that may or may not be working for them. And we look at race, class, gender, sexuality, immigrant status, disability, all of these things, and also how those identities intersect in relation to young people's development, but also in relation to how young people are perceived, how policies are mainly made on folks, et cetera. So, and lastly, you know, we are strength-based, as most positive youth development approaches are, and we also have a participatory stance. So our students, they, for example, in their research methods, they will learn kind of traditional approaches to qualitative data collection, but they also will learn about participatory approaches where you involve those most impacted by a particular issue, or lots of different people with multiple expertise surrounding that issue in kind of developing research to explore a particular issue. Or when we think about program planning, that you would involve young people, parents, other community members, and how to do that in a rich way. So I'm gonna go through this pretty quickly because there is a lot of overlap with our commitments, but you know, like any credential, we need to support our students to have effective verbal and written communication. We want people to not just kind of absorb, but apply, come back to the learning community, talk about what worked, what didn't. And, you know, when we are talking about applying knowledge that is in relationship to leadership, management, how you build capacity of your staff, as I mentioned before, we support our students to really figure out ways of engaging lots of differently positioned stakeholders like young people, parents, and community members to create strong youth development programming that feels transformative to individuals and beyond. We want our students to have knowledge of research and evaluation, because we kind of know that that's a big part of what's happening in the field right now. So we want you to be critical consumers. And for those that are interested, you know, knowledge producers. As I mentioned, you know, have knowledge of the social political context. We support our students to think deeply about intergenerational partnership and how that can drive multiple levels of change. You know, we support through various courses, people to be able to create curriculum and evaluate curriculum and have it be a curriculum that can speak to the needs and the desires of diverse learners. And as I mentioned before, we have a social justice orientation. So really, how does that come out in practice? Those are our PLOs. Okay. I think this is me too. I forgot. Okay. So we have 10 required courses in the BA, which is 30 credits. You will have a course that really looks at our critical approach to positive youth development, which incorporates all those things that I was just talking about. Social construction of adolescence looks at how the concept of adolescence has changed over time or in relation to different identities that I was just mentioning, and how that's kind of constantly being constructed in the work that we do with young people today. There's a course on community youth activism, both youth movements that have happened in the past, and also kind of building your own toolkit for how to do that work. As I mentioned, designing inclusive curriculum for diverse learners is one of our courses. We have a course about critical disability, really looking at how you support learners with a variety of disabilities or participants in youth programs. And then we have the research and evaluation course, the social group work course. As Professor Bernard was saying, we are multidisciplinary. We pull from different fields and lineages. And so the social group work course comes from our social work lineage and teaches a person how to support individual development in the group context, how to use yourself as a group worker differently at different stages of a group's development, how to identify the needs of a group. And then we have our transformative justice course, which looks at both kind of the history of juvenile justice or injustice in this country, and also giving people concrete skills about how to do restorative approaches and healing-centered work. We have our policy course because we want our students to have a sense of policies that impact young people and youth workers, both at the local, state, and national level. And then you have your capstone. And the capstone in the BA is wide open. We want this to be a way that you can demonstrate your knowledge, that you can let us know that you got all those program learning outcomes that I stated before, but really can do it in a way that either pushes you to the next level in your own work in your career world, or allows you to deeply explore a topic of interest that has been kind of with you through your academic journey. And the format of that can look a lot of different ways. Oh, and then we got a ton of electives too, but you only need 4 courses or 12 credits. We have courses working with immigrant and refugee youth. We have art, social justice, youth development, and then we have some courses that are just very practical in the field. So a lot of times people need a school-age childcare credential and need that license to be able to run a city-funded youth development program. And so we offer the SAC credential, and as Professor Bernard was talking about credit for prior learning, you could also get credit for having taken the SAC if that's something that you've done before. We have fieldwork courses where you can use your own site as a learning lab to look deeply at the PLOs and how that plays out in action. But it's also a space for someone who's like in after school to explore an internship with a college and career space, or you're in college and career, but you want to do more food justice work. So, we have relationships with various organizations and can connect you to a variety of them to really get a sense of all the different things that we mean when we say that you're in the field of youth work. Okay. Just so that you get a sense, in the fall, it depends if you're a full-time student or not, but you could take the critical approaches to positive youth development, social constructions or adolescence. Those are pre, but also co-requirements. So if you wanted to take more than those 2 classes, you could take the designing inclusive curriculum for diverse learners. We have other courses that you could take in youth studies, or if you need to take gen ed courses, you could knock out some of those. And then as you move on, you would take community and youth activism and the policy course. You could do some gen eds for your electives. And we also, of course, if you come in with all that credit for prior learning and transfer credit that Professor Bernard was talking about, and all you need is youth studies, you can take your youth studies courses.
So we have a mix of professors, both from the field and academia. Most of them do both. Wonderful people like Regina Bernard Carreño, who's on this call today, Adrian Evans, Manisha Hart, Diane Shirley, who does SAC and is also a alumni of the program. And we just want to share that, you know, the love and care that we give our young people, you know, as youth workers is the same kind of empathy and care that we give our students. Our professors are really empathetic, understanding, willing to work with students. Just make sure you communicate, because that's like the biggest thing in our program, to make sure we understand what people are going through. We're, you know, in a weird time still, you know, the end of, I don't even know what this moment in time is, right? If we're still in a pandemic or not, or the implications of that, right? But know that our professors are here to support you every step of the way. And pass it over to Sarah to share some of our field building activities.
So, you know, we offer the BA, the MA, and the advanced cert, but our program is not only about the credentials. We really take seriously our responsibility as a public institution to support and be a place for the public in the field of youth development to come together, to convene, to think critically about something, to imagine, to build things. And so we were just talking today, Shanira and I and Regina, about kind of launching the annual State of the Field event that was on pause with COVID. Just this past yesterday, on Tuesday, we had a NYC Youth Agenda policy breakfast with young people and politicians, kind of trying to co-create policy together. We've had various symposiums earlier in the year. We had an event that was looking at the role that activism can play in healing spaces for young people, especially young people of color, and how the connections between individual and collective healing. We've had various book talks because we have amazing professors. As Shanira was saying, we have these unicorns that are doing the work in the world, writing about it. So we had some book talks celebrating our own professors' books, and sometimes we celebrate those of our colleagues or people from the field that have written. We have events that really just support youth workers to feel cared and loved for and engage in self-care and community care. So those are some of the things. We also have an active research agenda. So at any given time, there are research projects that are happening that students can get involved with. Sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's something that you could do for an independent study, you know, an elective credit. But I'll just talk about one that we've had for a very long time now, basically from the start of the program, but it's a youth participatory action research project. It's called the Intergenerational Change Initiative. And so it's young people, both high school and college age, come together with some of our master's students and our professors to co-construct research about young people's lives in New York City. There's been a specific focus on things that relate to policy, and it relates to the event that I was just talking about, the NYC Youth Policy Youth Agenda, because we use our data that we collect from thousands of other young people to inform a policy platform that young people have also created. So that's an example of some of the research that is happening. We just got word today that Professor Bernard got another amazing research project going too. So
awesome, congratulations. Dr. Bernard. I want to just share a little bit about where we're located. Even though we do meet in an online synchronous model, we are located in Midtown Manhattan on West 31st Street. If you ever need to come to the building, like say if you need to speak to Bursar, registrar, you can take pretty much all the trains to get there because we are a centralized location. And also, while we don't have a library, we do utilize Baruch College's library. And as a CUNY student, you can access all CUNY libraries. So there is a location that's closer for you. If you need to go into like a space, that's available to you as well. And the cost is in-state tuition for all students, which breaks down to $305 per credit. And if you're a full-time student, which is 12 credits or more, it's a little bit over $3,400 per semester. And we do have a bunch of scholarships for CUNY SPS students. I won't be going into every single scholarship today, but I will be sending out the slides, the recording as well as like links. These are all clickable, so you will be able to do some more research and see if you qualify for anything, but you have to be admitted into the school before you can apply for these scholarships.
And now the fun part, how and when to apply. So the deadline for fall 2023 admission there are two. The priority deadline is April 3rd, 2023, and the regular deadline is June 20th. Since Shanier will be sending out the PowerPoint, the link to start the transfer application is right there below. You'll just be able to click it and start working on it. Eligibility requirements and application elements. So applicants must possess at least 15 transferable credits from an accredited institution with a minimum GPA of 2.5 on a 4.0 scale. But for applicants with GPAs below 2.5, there is a Jumpstart program in place, which is a supportive pathway to admission. And again, that's hyperlinked, so you'll be able to click on that and read about it. A personal essay of at least 250 words is part of the application process. That's really a place for you to share with us your background and what has led you to applying to this program. I know that that's a really important part as we look at the whole candidate, not just numbers. Applicants need to demonstrate basic proficiency in reading, writing, and math. Those are CUNY-wide standards. Students can transfer up to 105 credits from other undergraduate institutions, the credit for prior learning, as I mentioned earlier, as well as the CLEP program and exams. So unless a currently enrolled CUNY student, to submit an application, you need to pay a $70 non-refundable processing fee, and without payment or your application will not be sent to CUNY SPS. Veterans of the United States military, active duty service members, and members of the National Guard or Reserves are eligible for an application fee waiver. How to apply. So first, you'll log in. You'll create a CUNY application account or log into your existing CUNY First account. We recommend that you complete the application using a desktop computer and not on a mobile, or tablet device. Fill out the CUNY transfer application. So select transfer applicant from the drop-down menu and fill out the application. Note that as a transfer student to CUNY SPS, there'll be some sections which are considered optional and do not need to be filled out. Then you'll pay your application fee, so that your $70 processing fee. And as I mentioned, without payment, I'm sorry, Shanier, can you take over for a second?
Sure. So basically, you have to make sure you submit your non-refundable $70 processing fee. It won't be sent out unless that payment is made. Also make sure you submit your transcripts. All official transcripts from all previous colleges, universities, proprietary schools that you've attended since high school must be submitted. Also, if you are currently in a CUNY school, you don't have to pay a fee because it's like a CUNY to CUNY transfer request. Also, if you have completed your education outside of the US, you need to submit the copy of your foreign transcript in its original language. Additionally, you have to have an English translation accompanied with it in order for our admissions teams to go through your application and make sure that all your ducks in the row, you have everything you need. And step 5, you need to submit a personal essay of at least 250 words. It's a great space to talk about what your goals are, how SPS can help you get there. Also, if there is something that you want to address, maybe there's a GPA that was low or something that happened, that's a great space to share that with us as well. Because like Professor Bernard mentioned earlier, we look at application, from a holistic standpoint and not just numbers.
Thank you, Shanira. You saved the day there just now. So some tips when you are applying as a transfer applicant, you'll need to provide us with official transcripts from each school attended. You may request your transcripts to be sent electronically or via mail to CUNY. Below is a list of documents that applicants are asked to provide. So your official high school transcript or equivalency diploma, an official transcript from each college and university attended, and an official transcript from each proprietary school attended, if applicable. If you're currently enrolled at CUNY, your transcripts will be retrieved automatically if you applied using your CUNY First account. If you've attended CUNY more than 10 years ago, you will need to request a paper record because your transcript is likely in archives. You'll need to list CUNY School of Professional Studies as a college choice in your CUNY application. It'll take about 30 to 60 minutes to complete the application. My other tip there is to write your statement separate and have that ready to go so that you can upload that. Don't try to write that on the screen. It will time out on you. You'll find the process much faster if you gather the following information before you start the application: previous education history, citizenship information, family background data, credit card information, and a pre-written personal statement that you can open up, as I just mentioned. If for any reason you can't complete the application immediately, you may save it and complete it later. If you do not regularly select the save button, all information that you have entered will be deleted, thus a small disaster. If you're experiencing technical problems, please contact the CUNY SPS help desk. There's the number and the email, and you should always have those two handy as you fill this out.
All right. There's one thing I want to mention before the question. So for people that do the BA, we have a fast track to the MA. So you could earn up to like 9 credits for the MA through the BA. Some people will want to stay in youth studies. Some people may want to go on. We have partnerships with like education programs, social work programs. So there's a whole wide, big funnel open to you at the end of a youth studies BA. But, just to mention that if you kind of already know you want to do a master's program, that may be a good option. Okay, any questions? Please ask us anything. You can just put it in the Q&A box. Wow, you guys, you're that good. No questions, but no, please. Oh, good. Okay. Brianna, you want to say it out loud, or you want to put it in the Q&A, whichever way? Okay. And Reginald's typing one in. Darian, do we want, I know that there was a hand raised. Do we want to?
Yeah, we can give them access to talk. Was that Brianna, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, Brianna.
Okay, hi. My question was, you mentioned the fast track for the MA based on the bachelor's, and I was wondering, you said it include other extensions. Does it include like psychology or sociology or something like that?
No, actually, let me be more explicit. So the fast track between the BA and the MA is only for youth studies. But I was just saying, after a BA in youth studies, we also, it's not a fast track. You can't earn up to 9 credits, but there are, schools of ed and social work schools that are wanting to have our students come in afterwards. So if you kind of know that your next step may be going into teaching or social work, as opposed to maybe staying in out of school time or running a youth program or doing a college career, those type of things, then you could go into those other programs. But it's only through youth studies, BA to MA at CUNY SPS in particular, that you get the fast track. Thank you for that question and clarification.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got it.
Reginald has a question here about having 90 credits already. Would he only need 30 required credits and then the 12 electives?
Well, it just depends. Once students are admitted, they meet with the transfer credit team and they go through your credits to see if they're able to transfer. Most of the time, most of them do. It just really depends. Sometimes there are things that don't align with certain things, but they work with that. But so say if they were in a perfect world that you get all those wonderful credits transferred, you would still need to take the 30 required credit, and then the 12 electives. Sarah, am I missing anything?
No, that's completely it. And I think that CUNY SPS, as Professor Bernard mentioned, like you can transfer in up to 105 credits. Like we are a space where we're trying to get people to the 120 as smoothly, as quickly, as affordably as possible. But as Shanira said, that is something that you'll get the final determination from the transfer credit unit that does all that. Thank you. Any other things coming up for people? We'll give it another minute because I know that sometimes it takes a minute to write it in the chat or you're just taking it all in, but
I think something that we could definitely mention is the synchronous and asynchronous meetings. So for the youth studies specific courses, you meet synchronously, which means you're meeting live via Zoom once a week whenever your class meets.
no, for the BA,
It's on and off, right?
Yes, so we have like 6 or 7 classes within a course that meet at a certain time remotely. And then you have asynchronous work, which means that you're not with your professors and your other colleagues in the Zoom room. You're doing other work, posting a discussion board thing, doing some small group work, but it's not going to be in real time. So each of the classes in the BA have synchronous and asynchronous elements within the same class. Oh, hi, Michael. Thank you for being on. Just saw your message.
Also like to add that your general ed courses and your free electives are usually just fully online. So just make sure you're double checking that distinction so that you know what days you have to be in class versus the days that you're doing work asynchronously. We always recommend folks when they get their syllabi to make sure they put it in their calendar so they don't miss anything.
Yes. I also want to say that that's different from a lot of the other courses at CUNY SPS and the BA. So all of your other classes like gen ed electives, free electives, or gen ed requirements and free electives, those will be asynchronous. So you will not have times where you're with your professor in real time or doing classwork with other students. So just to, make sure that you have an awareness of that. And Reginald, you were saying, okay, So if you've been a program director for 9 years, so you're kind of, when we imagined this degree, it really was for people that are in the field. They just maybe never found the right BA program for them. Life happens. Maybe you started one and then you're running an after school program. It was a little bit disconnected from what you were doing in your everyday. Stopped out with that one, and you already have 90 credits. So anyway, I think you're kind of ideal. And the person that we were imagining when we were working with the field to create this credential. I think what's lovely is, you'll find that most of our people are working in the field already. And so the conversations in the class time, when you have it, it's just so rich. I can let Professor Bernard speak to this because she's taught a few of the undergrad classes, but, people bring all of that knowledge and expertise into that space. Professor Bernard, do you want to say any?
Yeah, I'll just add there. I've had the privilege of teaching, what is considered the intro course in the BA, the intro course in the MA. I'm teaching a really exciting course, one of my favorites, if I could say so, the youth activism course, which is right in my wheelhouse. But who makes up the community in the room really is what makes the course what it is, right? We could lecture all day long and assign tons of work, but I think the engagement that we have in the room has really strengthened the course and has really reshaped it. So there are intentions that we have when we're building it, but the outcome so far has been fantastic all throughout.
Any other questions or comments?
There's a question here from Tiffany. Would this program also be ideal for those who do not have any prior working experience in this field? I would just jump in here just really quick to say, and please add also, but I have students who have never worked with youth, who are interested in working with youth and have been finding their way through the program, which is also really fascinating. There's a really great balance between those who are 9 years program after school program director, and then the person who's just thinking about working with youth for the first time. There are people who do different things with youth as well. So summer camp only, so only have exposure to young people in a summer setting. So for me in the classroom, it's been a great mix.
And, you're in a classroom with people that are hiring a lot. So when you have program directors and they need people and they've been in class with a Tiffany that has been, just saying incredible things that feel aligned, or, there's some type of good connection there, it's highly likely that they may consider you if they know you're looking for work in this space.
Yes, and we're always sharing opportunities for work. So you have your network in your classroom, you have us as a network. So you will be on your way with your academic work, and then also, getting employed or moving into that space where you are working with young people, and it'll be the perfect fit, hopefully.
Literally every week, Shanira sends out lists of job offerings. There's a jobs board where people post. So I think, yeah,
and students send me stuff all the time, like from the MA program, from the BA program, that they're looking for folks.
Yep. I thank you. We thank you so much for your time. And if any questions come up for you as you're doing the application, just let us know. We have our contact information, and as Shanira said, you'll be getting this PowerPoint right after, so you can reach out to any of us and we'll get your questions answered. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.